At this point, I'm sure all of you have played or at least heard of Black Myth Wukong. How many of you knew that it was based off of a 16th century Chinese novel, Journey to the West? Oh, quite a lot of you. Well, what if I told you Black Myth Wukong was one of many iterations of the Journey to the West story? Like, movie starring Jackie Chan and Jet Li, based off the Sun Wukong mythology, or direct iterations of Journey of the West, written and directed by comedic genius Stephen Chow. Oh, you don't remember him? He's the guy who directed and starred in both Kung Fu Hustle and Shaolin Soccer. I love these movies, and so do many people. That's why they're still referenced to this day. Alright. So, you're not a movie buff like me. So how about anime? Ever heard of Latin America's favorite anime, Dragon Ball Z? Goku's story from the original show, Dragon Ball, was basically Akira Toriyama's version of the Sun Wukong story. That's one of the many reasons why Goku is so disrespectful in fights. That's right, Frieza is a racist. He's just using his proper pronouns. Now, the first time I saw someone's interpretation of the Journey of the West story was from the 90s anime called Sayuki, a dark, edgy, gritty 90s anime with drinking, smoking, guns, scantily clad women. This anime was built for me. Oh, its primary viewer base was young women? That might explain later seasons. While all of this is based off the original Chinese novel, they have become their own properties by just changing a few aspects to make this story their own. But what if a bunch of English weeaboos decide to make their own version of this legendary tale? Well, that's how we get Ninja Theory's Enslaved Odyssey to the West. Surprise, surprise. The company, named after Asian assassins, is obsessed with Asian culture, with most of their games being all about Chinese culture, specifically Kung Fu, with one of their biggest titles being heavily sword. The PS3 exclusive where Ninja Theory wanted to make a game specifically to show off their ability to create narrative experiences showcasing Eastern culture. Because of this, Ninja Theory was able to acquire the help of legendary Andy Serkis. Yes, Andy Serkis, the filmmaker and actor that is the face of motion capture. This man basically created the idea of motion capture acting. Yes, he was a part of Ninja Theory and their creation of Heavenly Sword, and was a massive part of the creation of Enslaved Odyssey to the West. But like a lot of Ninja Theory's games, it didn't do well, and they ended up parting ways with Sony. Now, while I don't specifically know what happened, I have seen things that say they broke up, and it was on good terms. I have seen posts that have said that they're very bitter, and I've seen proof of both. Some saying they left because they wanted job security that they couldn't get with Sony. I've seen reports that suggest it was because they wanted to have their freedom back, making the games that they've always wanted to make, which I can see. There's also the fact of how many times can you fail? Honestly, really think about it. Who's at fault here? Is it your parent company, Sony, not giving you the respect you deserve? Like promoting it? I mean, look at the promotion of Horizon Zero Dawn. That has 3 games, and none of them were financially successful either. Now, that might seem like a low blow, but this is honestly the reason you'll never see a sequel to Enslaved, because they know Sony doesn't want 2 products that look and have the same story competing with each other. mostly apocalyptic robot games with deep stories. At least that's what the Ninja Theory CEO said.
Yeah, but in a way, like, there's been brilliant games. Horizon is a brilliant game, and I think maybe that's also taken over that mantle or aesthetic, and maybe it wouldn't make sense to do an Enslaved 2 now in that vein. Maybe it would have to be something different. I don't know.
Creatively from your perspective, or do you think from Namco's business perspective? They're like,
oh no, this is purely my perspective. It's like it's what they've done is outstanding and beautiful, and it's got similar stuff in it, So I don't know if I'd want to go up against Horizon now. I think we've got to find a different angle.
There is also the possibility that Horizon Zero Dawn could have utilized assets and ideas from Enslaved. From some of the shit I've read, when Ninja Theory left after the debacle with Heavenly Sword, the team left assets and other stuff behind, which basically suggests that this was a bitter breakup. I don't know about you. How many of you have left a bunch of shit at an ex's house because you just don't want to deal with them ever again? I really should have gone back and got my James Harrison jersey now that I'm thinking about it. But some of this is my own theories. I have no solid proof, just a feeling in my soul here. After you do enough research on behind-the-scenes politics of the gaming industry and movies, you can't really leave anything off the table. Anything could happen. The good thing is, they started to make their own project, Enslaved, a reality after all of this. Ninja Theory wanted to bring this story to the West, but wanted to change it so it could be more relatable, and so that they could put their own touches on it. That's one of the reasons why it's in a post-apocalyptic American future. The team got the idea after watching a show called Life After People. They didn't want the dreary desert post-apocalypse like Book of Eli. The studio wanted something a little more colorful and realistic. They went with a more green, colorful look because New York City has been overtaken by plants. I mean, even The Last of Us stole the idea and look for themselves. But a lot of this wasn't just Ninja Theory's ideas. They had a lot of Hollywood help from Andy Serkis and Alex Garland. Alex Garland is the guy who's most well known for movies like 28 Days Later and Sunshine. Behind the scenes, Enslaved is an all-star fucking cast, with Andy Serkis directing the cast, directing cutscenes, and the lead role, even touching up on the script. All this while the man that's known for making one of the best zombie movies in the last 15 years is writing the script. But the wild thing is, these guys were all in on this. It wasn't just writing a script and leaving. Alex Garland was actually trying to be a part of the game design, helping design levels and ideas to make scenes feel more tense, adding more drama to the gameplay, using cinematography and writing tricks to make even the gameplay better. But that's not to downplay Andy Serkis' role here. He wasn't just doing touch-up writing, and he wasn't just voice acting the main character. He was also doing all of the motion capture for the CG cutscenes, treating it like he was filming a real movie instead of a video game. But that might be because originally they were pitching Enslaved as a CG movie to studios, powered by the Unreal Engine. But Hollywood didn't like it, so eventually they had to cave to Bandai Namco and make it a video game. Alright, I'm going to interject with my theories again, sorry. But after doing research for this, it feels like Ninja Theory was trying to escape this damn industry entirely because of whatever happened behind the scenes with Sony. But again, this is all bullshit coming out of my head with no documented proof. So, take it as you will. Now, while Enslaved, again, wasn't a financial success, they did take everything they learned from the production of Enslaved and used it in almost all of their future projects. Specifically DMC, their next game. While panned by the audience as a disrespectful, poorly written piece of trash, It was one of the best-selling games Ninja Theories ever had. But this happened before they went into business for themselves again, creating Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, where all of that Hollywood shit was actually useful in telling a very powerful story with incredible visual storytelling to boot. This almost revolutionized the industry. People forget that this was the first AAA independent game. They published and developed it themselves. Finally finding the freedom they always wanted in the industry to create what they wanted to make until they got in bed with Microsoft and sold the rights to the second game to them. Again, creating another massive flop. If you couldn't tell, the team making the game wasn't out to make a game known for its gameplay. The team wanted to tell a story first and foremost. Enslaved is a cinematic experience with gameplay, so while the gameplay isn't awful, it's not the first thing they cared about. Keep that in mind. What they did do to make the gameplay playable is try to make it more cinematic, varied, kind of like Uncharted except set in the future. Honestly, most of Enslaved's intro has the same feel as Uncharted 2's train scene, except you're in a giant airship above New York City while it crashes. It captures your attention, but it's not difficult. It's all spectacle with little depth. All you have to do is follow the route the game gives you. This also kind of removes any tension that these things have when you know you really can't die unless the platform starts to fall and you're just too slow to jump. Having said that, the spectacle is off the charts. It's genuinely the reason you would play this game. It's honestly more like their active cutscenes. It's a roller coaster where you have some control. But there are sections where you do control Monkey. The combat sections. Now I know what you're asking. How does a monkey man fight Last of Us Terminators? Simple. He just uses his power pole. Just like Goku or, well, Sun Wukong. Except instead of magic, he uses technology. So you're shooting plasma and electronic shots at robots. You're pretty much able to do anything you would do or not do in a character action game. Block, dodge, roll, charge attacks, do combos, even executions. This is what usually makes the fights look a lot more cinematic, and they are cool. The combat does have the problem of being kind of easy since you have so many options that are very powerful. But you do have to be a little careful because you are limited. You can't just shoot everything with your guns. That's how I accidentally softlocked myself. It happened to me once. I missed a couple of shots and couldn't kill all the mechs. So I kind of had to just let the robots kill me and then make sure I do it with 100% accuracy. After this, I made sure I upgraded ammo capacity so this never happens again. But in Enslaved, you're not alone. Monkey does all the fighting while Trip helps using her technical know-how, creating holograms to distract robots, driving the vehicle so Monkey can have his 2000s turn section, even driving your cover while we get gunned down. Does this mean this is a glorified escort mission? Yes. Sometimes you need to carry her from place to place, protecting her from robotic enemies. This even means throwing her across gaps that she can't jump, running her through situations like minefields to protect her, and even saving our damsel in distress from the more powerful bosses. But this is still a team effort. While she's not as strong as Monkey, she's able to research enemies and discover their weaknesses. So sometimes you have to drop a chandelier on someone's head so she can study them to find their weaknesses. Both heroes have strengths and weaknesses, and they have to cooperate with each other to survive New York City on their journey across America, even if she can't fly on Monkey's Nimbus Cloud. Yes, Even that's in this game. This is mostly used for puzzles, platforming, and chasing sequence where you're running from enemies and chasing bosses yourself. These are some of the coolest parts of the game, but as I've said in other videos, variety usually means there's no depth. Not in the gameplay, but in any of these systems. Its ideas, scope, epic storytelling all make it seem way bigger than it actually is on the surface. It's like Eerie, but when you step in, it's shallow as a puddle. But that can all be forgiven if the Odyssey is truly worth it. Enslaved Odyssey to the West takes place 150 years after a global war that destroyed most of humanity, leaving the world with only a small portion of humanity left, while the rest of it is filled with murderous mechs that would like to enslave humans. Is this just the story of the Matrix? Except without black latex, trench coats, and Jesus allegories? We play as Monkey, a brutish vagrant portrayed by Serkis, that's finally been kidnapped by his robotic overlords. The beginning moments are him waking up inside a containment cell on a slave ship traveling across America just as it enters New York City's airspace. The only reason Monkey is able to escape is because Trip uses her technological know-how to disable a lot of the electronics on board, starting the slave ship to start to crash. Too bad for Monkey, he only has his brute strength and incredible athleticism, and he has to use these to escape, meaning he has to do everything the hard way. See, if it wasn't for the fact that he's built like a fucking Conan character, he wouldn't have survived. Especially when he's running on the outside of the ship while fighting robots that weigh the same as a Mazda. Honestly, if it wasn't for his power pole, he wouldn't be able to stand a chance against these primitive Terminators. After surviving the crash and everything that led up to it, Monkey and Trip have their first conversation. See, while Monkey was sleeping, Trip fitted him with his own slave headband. One that she could control. Hey, I've seen this anime before.
After all!
Except Trip is a little more diabolical. If anything happens to her, Monkey dies. If he doesn't listen to her, she causes him pain. She enslaves him. She is forcing him to become her bodyguard and protect her through New York City so she could escape and see her family. But because of them crashing the slave ship, there are a lot more robots in New York City than there ever have been before. And they're going to need to work together to survive the big city. A good portion of the game is these two surviving the robotic infestation that is contaminated New York City. And there are a lot of powerful robots and obstacles in the way. Finding Monkey's motorcycle, the duo is finally able to escape the city. And they seem to be getting a lot closer. They even start making plans about what they're going to do after he's finally free. And she's back with her family. But we're not even halfway through the story at this point. When you get to the village, there's blood everywhere. And you have to save Trip after she leaves you to find her father. Monkey must fight his way through these mechs to save her. Eventually, they find her father. He didn't make it. With revenge on her mind, she continues to enslave Monkey to be her bodyguard so she can travel to California to stop the evil there. The evil robots, the robots that are there. That's when we bring Pigsy into the picture. No editor, that's the same picture again. Pigsy is her father's best friend. He is a technological genius too. He knows everything. especially when it comes to killing these robots, including where their weaponry is. They come up with a plan to steal one of the mech's own super weapons, the Leviathan, and use it to destroy the pyramid that is housing all of the human slaves. Yes, I'm simplifying the plot here, but the story is about the characters and about their characterization and how they're utilizing the story. The story is genuinely written like an old school movie, where there are predictable twists and turns, but you still keep watching because you like the characters and want to see them pull through. They're all well written and likable. Even Pigsy's likable. Everyone has their own motivations and reasons to be here.
Slightly.
I don't really see how I can.
It's just your hand is right on my penis.
So are we ever going to see a sequel that Enslaved hints at? No. The short answer is no, because remember, they probably don't want to work with Sony anymore, and they're also working with Microsoft now. But that's not the only reason. As I said before, they would be competing with Sony's own product, Horizon Zero Dawn, and no one wants that. Not Ninja Theory, not Sony. Matter of fact, Horizon Zero Dawn doesn't want that. They always have competition when the game's released. And sadly, the story is okay. It's very forgettable, but I love the concept, characters and ideas, the artwork, the design, the character design, the acting. Everything's good. Everything. But it all is a good movie. That's it. It came out at a time where everything was just great. I like to call it the John Carter effect. It's a movie that took way too long to come out, and everybody took your ideas and then did it better. Enslaved is the video game equivalent of the John Carter movie. Great ideas, great concept, at the wrong time. And the funny thing is, the same thing happened to Horizon Zero Dawn. And it's already getting replaced itself by its Chinese counterpart, Light of Mortium. And I can't wait to play that game. And let's be honest, neither Horizon Zero Dawn or Enslaved sold well. Chances are you're not going to see either one of those in the future. The thing that sucks is the Enslaved story will never be completed. Period. And they left it on a fucking cliffhanger. Never leave your story on a cliffhanger, especially in the gaming industry. Only Halo 2 got away with it. If you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. It all helps in the algorithm, and I would appreciate your viewing in the future.